Hey guys, I'm Lillian, aka StitchWithMe on Instagram and here on YouTube. Thank you for joining me. I hope you found something of interest. Today is the 30th of August 2022 and I am back with a new Stitch With Me. So today we are working on Spring Queen. This is my Heaven and Earth Designs artwork by Bridget Ashwood. I am absolutely in love with this piece. Look at that. And we are only working on the first page in that flower there. Now the colors do wash out a lot. I don't know why. Maybe it's the lighting a little bit, but it's more pink in real life. Kinda, but not really. So yeah, just know that. I always get so excited when I get to work on this piece. I know we are not supposed to have a favorite child, if you will, but this is mine. She is just so colorful. She has so much stuff going on. I cannot wait to get to the more bright flowers around her head. And that wing, butterfly there. I just love it. So, as per usual, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Let me get some tension on my fabric. There we go. I just wanted to record a Stitch With Me because I don't know how much time I will have once I start with my internship. So I wanted to have some videos ready to go just to upload so that I don't have to worry about recording a video. Now with this project I am moving the fabric around a lot, so I'm sorry if something's out of frame or it's annoying to watch. But yeah, whenever I watch Stitch With Me, I'm not really watching, I'm just listening. So I hope you don't mind too much. So if you've seen my other projects, you probably know that I like to work in a lot of different ways. I like pretty much all methods and my brain understands pretty much all methods. So what I like to do is I just take a method for every project and I will keep working in that manner for the rest of the project if I like to. And for Spring Queen, as you can see, I am working in 10 by 10 blocks on a diagonal within the page. Then for all the blocks I am feathering. So there's one stitch on the grid, one stitch in the next block and one stitch missing. So on the grid, in the next block, on the grid, missing, on the grid, next block, if you will. So that's like the bigger picture, and then I don't know yet if I will be randomizing the pages when I finish this one, or if I will just stagger the pages just like I do the blocks. But we will figure that out when we get to that point. So that's the bigger picture, and then within the block itself, of course, I have to complicate things even further because my brain likes complicated. Don't ask me why. what I do is I snake along, so first row is from left to right, second row from right to left, and I keep going like that. And then from there on, so that's how I pick the thread that I am stitching with. But from there on, if there is several stitches that I can do, I will do them. As long as my rule kind of is, if there's a stitch above it, I can do that stitch. So let me see if I can get to a point where it's clear. Just so that I don't have to change threads as often, because obviously this is a slow going method. And that is also why I like to change up my methods, because my brain tends to like the really complicated methods that take a long time, but they take a long time. So some projects I will just get the satisfaction of completing it a little bit faster, getting more stitches in a day. And then other projects I can get the satisfaction of a satisfying method, or at least something that my brain likes. Now here do we get, okay, so here's where we get to a point. Let me show you just this tiny piece of the pattern. We have just done those 2 stitches. Now if you were to strictly snake along, you would have to do that hexagon right there. But the stitches underneath have stitches above them, so I can do those. Oh, so let me show you. So I will do those 2. I think we'll have to get you a little bit downward. Yeah, there. And then, just to explain, then you get those 3. And you might think, well, those 2 are underneath the 2 that are stitched now, so you can do them. But the next in order is the left one, because the third row goes from left to right. And that one has the hexagon above it that has not been stitched yet. So we park it there. So what we have done are these 4, and we park it there. Hopefully that made some sense. So that is how I work on this piece. Now what do I talk about? Oh yeah, right. So there was someone who, sorry for hitting you, that mentioned that she would be interested in seeing my ends. So I am not sure yet, but maybe when I pull them out tomorrow I can get some footage for you guys, so I can put that in with the video. If so, I will put them in here or wherever it makes sense. Wait, no, I can stitch that one. So if you, this is your first time hearing that I have ends, yes, I mean the little insects with 6 legs, like the ants. What I've done is I have caught some queens, and now I'm raising a colony with them, or several colonies, but I will only be keeping one of this species and selling or giving the other ones away. And if I cannot get rid of them, I will just release them because they are native to my area. So I can just let them go. So right now they have been in test tubes for, how long has it been? 3 months-ish. And now keep in mind, for some, maybe if someone of you knows what they're talking about with ants. Yes, it is very slow going because I don't use a heat source for them, so they are just at room temperature, which is fine, but they just don't grow as fast as they would if you were to use a heat mat or a heat cable underneath their test tube. That's fine. So after 3 months, they have, the first 2 that I got have a lot of brood. And last time I checked, they only had 1 worker. One of the 2 had 1 worker. And then the other 3 that I got later on, they have been in there for maybe 6 weeks-ish. They have also a lot of brood, but that brood is not really developed yet. So they are just eggs and some larvae, but I don't think they have cocoons yet. Also fine. And I am actually currently in the process of finding out what kind of nest I want to order for their first nest, for the 1 colony that I will be keeping, which is exciting. There's a lot of stuff to choose from. Now, at first I wanted to DIY my own nest with either whitong or aerated concrete or how do you call it? It's gips in Dutch. So it's similar to aerated concrete. But then I thought, well, I have a lot on my mind already, so maybe do that next time. And then for now, just order in a 3D printed nest or something of that origin. Let's park this there. So that's exciting. Up until now, the ants don't really need to eat before they get their first workers, because in the wild they only get their first food, like the queens get their first food, once the, for this species at least, once the nanitics, the first workers, go fetch some for her. So they are designed to have enough nutrition inside their body to be okay up until that point. So but it doesn't really hurt to feed them earlier, and of course I was really impatient. So I have fed them a little bit of honey twice now. The second time being after the first worker has arrived. So only once before the point where they would naturally eat normally. Oh really? I have to end this thread. Also, that is something I can show you now. When I end threads, I will go in a block to the right, a little bit further away from this block because I am feathering into the other block, and I will take it, put it through and snip it at like 5 centimeters, 2 inches or so, like that. And then whenever the block above it is done, I will snip off from the front all of these ended threads, and they will be oh wow, I made a mistake while explaining this to you. I take it 2 blocks over, so not here, but I was thinking, why is there so many threads in here already? But 2 blocks over, so there. And once this block is done, I will snip all of these threads because these come from that block, and so they are carried over the back of this block, so they are secured in place. And once this one is done, I will snap off that one because it's on the back of this block, so it is secured into place. Hope that makes sense. Because now I'm just going all over the place, I feel like. But back to the ends. So I have fed them twice, a little bit of honey. I have offered them a mealworm for protein. But they didn't like it. So I was like, you guys, you are so like, they don't appreciate my care, because I just, it was kind of difficult to have to cut a living mealworm into pieces. And then they didn't eat it. So I was like, why did I just have to do that? But it's okay. So I have now, for their protein source, because I have to find a protein source that they will eat, I have tried freezing some fruit flies, and hopefully they will try to eat those. If that doesn't work, I will just try to offer them little pieces of raw chicken or something. Something with protein. Because I only have one, or I will only have one colony for a while, so I don't really want to be keeping a cricket colony or whatever. Or a roach colony. Or termites or whatever. To feed the one colony. Especially while they're still small. So I will have to find other sources of protein for them. So here we are. I wanted to show you my ends. It is not the day afterwards. This is like over a week later. But yeah, here I am. And I will zoom in on the insects a little bit later on the ends. So as far as I can, actually. So if you don't like to see insects up close, please don't watch this part of the video. But what I wanted to show you was where my ends are now, because when I pulled them out, they have exploded. There are so many eggs that have come out. I don't know what the screen is doing with the stripy stuff, but so what this setup is, if you don't know how ends are supposed to be cared for, these are test tubes, and then you have cotton balls that keep them from escaping, and then on the back end there's a water reservoir that keeps them hydrated, so they can drink from it, and also it keeps the humidity up inside of the nest. And this resembles the claustral chamber in which they naturally would found their colony. So these are the ones that I have got a little bit later on, so the youngest colonies, if you will. And as you can see, those two have quite a bit of brood. They have the bigger ones that you can see there, for example, those are cocoons. So the stages that they go through is they have an egg that will turn into a larvae, and that will turn into a cocoon from which a worker ant, normally, or queens, or males, or majors, you have all kinds of stuff. But first of all, worker ants will hatch from those. And so those are cocoons. And then let's see if I can show you some other stuff. Those tiny ones beside it, maybe I can get it to there. Right in the middle, above the head of the ant, those are two larvae. Now the eggs I think are too small to see on camera. Yeah, they are. But those are the stages of the eggs. The middle one seems to not have any brood at the moment. She has laid eggs twice, but I think she keeps eating them for some reason. I think that she is just stressed out. But I might try feeding them sometime, and maybe that will help. But that's also something interesting. These queens I have fed, and as you can see, there are stripes on her gaster, on the back part of her body. These don't have that yet, at least. And that's because it's the same species, by the way. So it's all Lasius niger, for those of you who know ants. That's because the gaster expands when they store the food in there. So you can see the food actually through their exoskeleton when it expands. And when there's no stripes on their gaster, that means there's not a lot of food in there. But it's okay, because queens, until they get their nenitics, will get their nutrition from liquefied muscle tissue on their backs of the thorax, so the middle part of her body, which is very interesting. But now, look at these workers. This is so damn cool. Look at that. Let's see if I can count them. Over 15 in that one. And also what is interesting is I put this one in a bigger test tube than that one. And even though they were caught on the same day, the one in a smaller test tube is also a smaller colony. So I find that rather interesting. Of course, I can't pull any conclusions out of this experiment, if you may call it that, because it's only 2 colonies. But it is very interesting. So now, those are my colonies right now. I hope you find it interesting. But also, what I wanted to show you, let's put them to the side real carefully, is what I got in the mail. So, you heard me talk about nests. So, I got this package. It also had this thank you card in it. Now, this is not sponsored. I just like to show you this stuff. I got first nest. So, little syringe for putting water into the nest, because you need to hydrate it. There is a test tube, connector pieces, plugs with which you can plug the connector pieces. Then there is the nest itself. So you got the bottom part. This is where you put water in, and this you can, if you have a heat cable, you can put the heat cable through there. And you put the nest on top. And as you can see, there's a mesh in the bottom there, which is where the humidity comes up from. And this is where the tube goes. And this is where we can put in our first colonies. But if you compare it to my hand, it's tiny. I love tiny stuff, so this is so cute. But we will have to wait a little bit longer until the colony is a little bit bigger and it's really growing out of their test tube, because I would rather have them in a little bit too small of a space in these beginning stages than in a little bit too big of a stage, because or of a space, because when you put them in a space that is too big for them, they might stress out about it because they cannot close it themselves, because this is not movable earth or dirt. So it's hard for them to, they have to feel safe in their space. So they need to be big enough to feel a little bit crowded in their nest, if you will. Also, if the nest is too big for them, they might try to make a area inside of the nest where they dump their garbage instead of taking that outside to the outworld where you can clean it. So that might cause fungus issues within the nest. So that is why I am waiting a little while before I put the colony in here. And then the other, this one, I might try to sell, and if it doesn't sell, I will maybe give it away, or if I can find anyone, release them. Same goes for them. But this colony, if everything keeps going well, will be going into this nest in a while. So, and then there is this red lid that goes on top. I still need to take the foil off, but you will be able to see through it, and rats or the ants are not able to see red light, so to them it is dark. So that is what the red lid is for. Very interesting. Now let's get back to the video. And I'm also realizing that this topic is not really interesting for most of you guys, I think. Maybe something less insecty would be better to talk about. Like fish. I am currently with my best friends preparing to get fish. So I started to do research and came to find out that it takes a while before you can actually take the fish and put them into your tank. So that was a bummer, because I was really looking forward to getting the fish, of course. But what needs to happen first is the tank needs to go through their ammonia cycle, nitrate cycle, in order for it to be safe for your fish. And I was like, well, but my parents, we used to have 2 goldfish, and before that we used to have guppies. And I did not remember them testing the water and stuff. So I asked them, how did you do this? And they just took care of the fish by once a week. They took the fish out, put them in a separate little bucket for a while, and then cleaned the whole tank. So they filtered the substrate, and they scrubbed all of the decoration. They put in new water that was not conditioned. And basically what that did was just reset the cycle to back to the beginning. And so there would be no ammonia, no nitrate, no nitrite in the water. And what I want to be doing is I want this tank to be kind of a little ecosystem, so there's going to be live plants in there as well. So what I'm going to do is I am going to set up the tank with everything but the fish, and I will test the water every week or so for the levels for pH, ammonia, nitrate and nitrite levels. What have I just done? Oh, I've gone 1 to 4. This is a very difficult piece to be talking whilst working on it. So I will set up the tank with everything but the fish, put some fish food in there. What's going to happen is it's going to break down, create pneumonia, and that will then trigger bacteria to grow in the tank that will break down the ammonia into either nitrate or nitrite. I can't remember which one. So pneumonia and one of the two, nitrate or nitrite, are toxic for the fish. And then there will be another kind of bacteria forming in the aquarium that will break the toxic nitrate or nitrate into the other one, which is not toxic, or at least very, very little. So compared to the other one, it is way less toxic to the fish. And from there, the plants can use that to grow. So then you only have to do a water change every so often, and you don't have to scrub all of the surfaces in the tank, and you don't have to filter the substrate. And I will every so often vacuum the aquarium. But that's about it. So yeah, it will take a while before I can put fish in there. I find it kind of hard to come up with stuff to talk about. Because I feel like you guys don't necessarily want to hear me talk about this kind of stuff. But I don't know what else to talk about. So if you have any questions for me, or stuff that you would like to hear me talk about or explain or whatever, let me know in the comments, and I will be happy to do that in the next Stitch With Me. Now I have to find, oh, I bumped you with my head. I will have to find a new color, 301. So I have my master set next to me. This is double-sided. It is not complete yet, but I have a lot. I have every color that I need to complete my current projects. So we are going to take one strand of these two, and the other one will go back onto the bobbin. There. Next week, on Monday, the 5th of September, I will be going back to school, I wanted to say, but it's not kind of school. It is my internship, which is exciting. I am going to do research for them, which is going to be part of a bigger project, which I cannot say a lot about yet. But it is really, really exciting. It's kind of scary also, because I don't know what to expect exactly yet, of course, and I want to do well. And it has been a while since I have done 40 hours a week work, so I hope that I will be able to take that. Probably will, but still. So that is kind of the reason that I am pre-recording all of these Stitch With Me's. Oh, I need a color first, another color. So that I can have something to upload and not have to worry about recording a video in the first weeks of my internship. Because I know I'm not going to have a lot of energy to spare. So yeah. I feel like this Stitch With Me has been kind of boring to listen to. Especially for people who are into cross stitching and not necessarily fish and ants. But yeah, let me know what you would like to hear, what you would like to see again, what projects you would like to see me work on. I would love to do that for you. And I think this is almost long enough of a video. I will just start this thread and then I will stop. Oh, also, I am getting new furniture for my room. And perhaps I can try to take a before and after picture. Show that to you sometime. Not sure. That's really exciting. So hopefully now that I am back living with my parents full time, I can feel cozy and at home in my own room, so I can just pull back a little and retreat to my own little space. If you understand. Okay, so let's see. So I have to park my thread here. But where does it end up being with the feathering? There. Yeah, it just fits. Okay. So fourth one up from the bottom of the square. 2, 3, 4. There. 3 in between. There, yep. Okay, so I hope, even though this was kind of a weird video because I didn't know what to talk about, that you still enjoyed this video. Again, I've said it enough now, but let me know what you would like to see, because I obviously am out of inspiration. So thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. Happy stitching. Bye guys.